the crisis of unpaid salary could have been a major challenge. But we want to say a big thank you to our guests who went all out with the support of the federal government, and they took Nigeria to that point. Let's hope and see that perhaps when next they represent Africa, it will be a big one. Let's come back home here and look at what is going on. The Nigeria Professional League is expected to kick off the much talk about September is here, and this time around the viewers will have opportunity because 10 stadiums have been officially approved by the league governing body, and so Nigerians are set for the best. I thought it was going to be a breach, but it's no longer. It's a full game for the 20 teams. David, looking at the level of our league, is it comparable to what is obtainable in other parts of Africa so that it will attract money? 150 million naira, I guess, is what has been set aside for the winner of this year's edition of the Nigeria Professional League. What should we do to move the league forward?
Oh, thank you for that question, Mr. Clinton. Our league is not where we want it to be, but it's not where it used to be. Constantly there is improvement. We are trying to see what best can be done to the NPFL to improve it, or NPL as the case may be, with the change of names, just nomenclature changing a little bit. So we're trying to see what can be done to better it. I think it is good that they settled for the full league instead of the abridged. I love the abridged league. I love the abridged league because it prevents
less expensive.
It's less expensive, and teams from the eastern region, southern region, cannot now worry about traveling to places like Kanu, Maiduguri, by road, because for me, I don't think that's nice enough. We should have a branding. We should have an airline which can convey, players or teams from the south or east to the north, or from the northwest down to the south. We don't need to be using roads all the time. Yes, roads can be used, but to some extent. Imagine if you play a game at the weekend and there's a game in midweek and you're using the roads for that long distances. It's going to tire out the players and they might not give their best on the field of play. So the league, we hear it will start on the 9th of September, but there is a little bit of changes to it here. Before I look at the prize money and talk about the some of the worries about the funds, let's look at what we have here. Recall that the opening fixture for last season between Akwa United and Bendel Insurance was at the Nest of Champions, but it was played. That was the only match played that weekend, and others were played at the following week. So that's the same thing we will have. We'll have a game here between 3SC Shooting Stars and Plateau United. That game will be live on the MPFL Live app. 3SC Shooting Stars of Adama Singba up against Plateau United, the former MPFL champions.
Yes,
so, on the 9th.
Yes, yes, but you see, I think what they have done is just to have a star game for the season. A star game that will attract the entire country looking at it. And of course, that will be just 24 hours after the game between the Super Eagles and the visitors from South Tome and Principe. But looking at the arrangement from what we have seen, in line with CAF directive to maintain the CAF League, I think the Nigerian NPL and the Nigerian Football Federation are doing everything possible to ensure that our players have enough time to rest for those that are going to represent us at the continental level. I want to key in what they have done and expected that the remaining matches will be followed in just the way it has been planned. Yes,
I hope that. I hope that after September the 9th, then the following weekend we'll have other games, played. And like you said, 10 stadiums, have been staged already, have been named to be hosting games that live games will be shown from the NPFL Live app. Because of the NPFL Live app and how they needed to fix it, it means the league had to be pushed up to September the 9th. So we hope that it can kick off. GTI, which is a sponsor, has confirmed that, the NPFL this season, the team who will win it will pocket 150 million naira, just like you said. So it's a good one in terms of prize money. Last season, Eyimba, who won it, took home 100 million naira. So that's an improvement.
An improvement in the domestic league. And the sport minister had said that he has come for development. We do hope that next edition will be higher than this. And one day, perhaps the Nigeria Professional Football League will be higher than the Continental Trophy if a country wins the African Cup of Nations. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will look at the situation and perhaps give you feedback for what is happening in the camp of Chelsea fans as well as in the camp of Manchester United. Both teams went into action and one team seems to be smiling. Let's take a break. This is Global TV. Please don't go away. Glad to have you back on the program Global TV. Of course, it's Talk Sport right here in the nation's capital, Abuja. The entire continent of Africa is waiting for the draws that will pair the representative of various countries into the championship. In Nigeria, our own Enyimba Football Club of Aba, the one we call Njobu, will be in action. But they're looking at the level. What will you say are there countries we should be avoiding, especially the North African counterpart? Should we avoid them from these draws?
Well, we can't avoid them. We cannot avoid them. It is pot 1 and pot 2. So the draws will be taking place in Cairo, today. And then very quickly, let me run through the pots here. Enyimba are in pot 1 alongside Simba SC of Dar es Salaam, TP Mazembe from Congo, and Atletico Petroleras of Angola. And then they will take on a team in pot 2. The pot 2 has Al Ali SC. Of course, we know they are giants in Africa, the team based in Cairo. Wydad AC, that's a Moroccan outfit. Esperance, the Tunis, and Mamelodi Sundowns. So there is no avoidable teams here. Enyimba needs to play the teams in pot 2. So it puts them in a tough position, but it is the African Football League. So what do we expect is the best of the best. So Enyimba needs to play.
And of course, the People's Elephant of Aba, Enyimba Football Club, are not visitors on the podium. They have made history severally, having won the championship a record back-to-back. We hope that the People's Elephant this time around will be doing well. But looking at Pot B, Esperance is a team full with experience.
Yes, absolutely. Esperance, a team full with experience. We had our own Anna Yoiwala play for them recently. He's been on loan in and out of the club, but it's the Giants from Tunisia, the team here who are also CAF Champions League winners on a couple of occasions. So whichever way you look at it, it's sharks. I'll say sharks all over the place. And there's this adage, how do you swim with the sharks without getting eaten alive? And that's what Enyimba will be looking at now. Mamelodi Sundowns themselves have been juggernauts too on the continent. Al Ali SC, who will be competing in the CAF Super Cup, or the CAF Super Cup that's going to be taking place in Saudi Arabia. That's on the 15th of this month by virtue of winning the CAF Champions League. And then Wydad AC, from Casablanca. So there are tough teams here. And you look at Enyimba, you can only say how prepared are they? Because Mr. Clinton, we know they were just knocked out from the CAF Champions League preliminary by Al Ali Benghazi after that goalless draw in Aba.
Well, let's see with the likes of a veteran sitting on the bench like the one we call Papilo, can work or help in the club side. We hope Nigeria representative will make us proud in this time around. Of course, it will be like getting support from the domestic league, because by then our domestic league will fully be in action. But one problem that has affected most Nigeria representatives is the logistics. It's so poor that a team that is flying the country will refuse to honor a game because of transportation. We do hope that the People's Elephant, the management of that club, is doing everything possible, because Enyimba is going to represent Nigeria, and then we will not want to see issues like saying players have no bonuses, have not been paid, no means of transportation. That would be a big shock for us.
Yes, that would be a big shock for us. I think these clubs are funded by the government. Sorry, I'll have to bring them in here, but they are funded by the government. That's why we are calling for private corporate bodies to come in and have, a little bit of, or a chunk of, what they can bring into the teams in terms of welfare, on how they can support them. Enyimba have been devoid of these problems of traveling, allowances and co. To say that in the last 5, 6 or 7 or 8 years with the last administration, we hope that the ones that are in there now, there've been a change of government, that they can continue on this path. Their travel to Benghazi wasn't didn't have any issues or hitches, so we expect that to be more of the same, and let's see how they progress. Unfortunately, they wouldn't be playing on the CAF Champions League anymore after being eliminated by Al Ali Benghazi.
The only representative there that we had in the championship, and let's hope that they do better in what could be described as the second tier of a championship for Africa. But talking about development and inviting private sectors to be part of it, this is one issue that the current Minister of Sport, distinguished Senator John Owen Eno, had said he is going to work closely with corporate bodies to ensure that they have a say in the development of sport. Perhaps that is one of the reasons he went to Lagos, because he met with stakeholders, and we are hoping that at the end of the day it will be a hitch-free issue where private sectors will identify with sport in the country. In other parts of the country, this private sector is playing a major role, and so we expect that this time around in Nigeria we'll have the likes of Dangote, and so on. Of course, we need to say big thank you for what they did in some of our stadiums, but we expect that most private bodies will come to identify with the development of sport in the country, Dave.
Yes, of course, Clinton. I think what the minister is doing is he started off to a flyer. He's meeting minds, traveling here and there, collaborating. You can only do this by, meeting people, talking, meeting minds, collaborating with them. What do they have to bring? How can they support? How can they help a situation? I think when he was, given appointed, there were eyebrows that were raised. That what does this man know about sports? Some funny comments. An agricultural man, who knows about agriculture. What does he know about sports? Is he going to bring us back to farming? Yes, I said, yes, he's taking us back to farming. If agriculture can provide the money for the welfare of our sporting teams, not just football alone, but the sporting world, then yeah, so be it. So I think he's a leader. There's a difference between leadership and management, but he has assembled the throne now. And as a leader, it will be expected that the ministry is supposed to follow his blueprint, to see how he has the roadmap for a better sports development, for a better policy implementation, and others to ensure that our sports is up there.
Distinguished Senator John Owoh-Enoh, Minister of Sport, Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the man we are looking up to, and we truly believe with his policies that Nigerian sport will get to the next level. He personally told reporters here in Abuja that he would do everything possible to take Nigerian sport to the next level. And don't forget that John Owoh-Enoh is also expected in Saudi Arabia. Today we talk about sport. We can't end sport without mentioning Saudi Arabia. Of course, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, had already established a positive relationship where our champions, the final game will be decided in Saudi, and the likes of the big players in the world are heading. So why not? We hope that our minister will go there and tap this great opportunity that will help to drive home the development of sport in the country. The distraction used to be there, sport and youth, but this time around, it's full sport, and it's time for perfect development.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to him going over to Saudi Arabia. It's state sponsored, talking about the Roshan Saudi Pro League, which has started. We have match week 5 today to commence. That's from 21:00 hours. So I think it's a good one if he goes there and we have a collaboration with Saudi. It can only help our football, not just Saudi, other parts of the world who are interested in partnering Nigeria. Egypt, of course, I know about that. There's something in place with the Ministry of Youth and Sport Development, well, not Youth and Sports Development anymore, with the Ministry of Sports, with the Egyptian Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. There's something in place with an MOU for sports development. So we continue to push forward and move forward in that regard. Saudi themselves are looking, to continue to improve their own sports. They are funding it. It's, like I said, state-sponsored. Qatar too is looking to do the same. And in no distant time, Clinton, these sports, these countries are going to be top in sports, because it's just a gradual process you build. You can only look at what Morocco is doing to their sports and understand that we need to also imbibe that and continue to build for progress.
And John Owoh-Enoh is not just a minister of football alone. He is a minister of all sporting activities. Just some few days ago, he had the privilege of welcoming the World Cup cricket, and I'm told that he's also working closely with the Esport Federation of Nigeria, one legacy that he has truly confirmed that he will do everything possible to reposition them. So we expect the best, and we expect the best of results come the All-Africa game, which is coming up in Ghana. Under his watchful eyes, we hope to see the best of results. Talking about results, it's not a good day for Chelsea. Chelsea are in the league, and the worst just happened some few days ago, right in their own backyard. Chelsea were in that game, but it wasn't a good one for them. Let's take at some of the results that are just coming in. It's Aston Villa is still playing a goalless draw with Hull City, while Fulham made no mistake in the home of Chelsea, the silent Chelsea, and went home with maximum 3 points. Looking at Fulham beating Chelsea at the Stamford.
Yes, just a slight correction there. Nottingham Forest beating Chelsea today at Stamford Bridge. Yes, Chelsea are not in full flow yet. That I know. With the new coach, Mauricio Pochettino, at the helm of affairs, it will take time. He needs time to implement his own things, his methods across the players. And they've sold a lot of players. So it's obviously a disjointed team here with young players. You're looking at players like Raheem Sterling, Jackson up front, and the other other players who used to be at Chelsea are no longer there in the middle of the park. These days we have the likes of Enzo, Moses Caicedo. So it's not been a good day for Chelsea, and in fact it's not been a good start to the season for them. They've only won once and have lost twice and drawn once already.
Liverpool.
Yes.
And Forest made no mistake to silence the fans of Chelsea in and out of the entire wall, and so they went home with 3 points. Talking about teams that went home with 3 points, Manchester City on top of the league and slashed their opponent by 5 goals to 1. Talking about Fulham game against Manchester City, 5-1. One would have felt that 5-1, it's a big win. In fact, it looks like it's the biggest win so far. David, looking at some of the matches that have already been decided today, that is the biggest win so far.
Yes, of course, the biggest win so far. Manchester City versus Fulham is the first hat-trick for Erling Haaland in the Premier League this season. He started again, Clinton, hasn't he? You know, Erling Haaland, you know, from where he left off last season, he's just coming on the back of winning an award, you know, from the Professional Footballers Association. So he's in banging form. He's put Fulham to the sword. And then there was another high-scoring game, you know, Tottenham Hotspur winning.
No mistake.
Yeah, winning at Burnley by 5 goals to 2. There was a hat-trick from Son Heung-min, and James Maddison, the new signing, has also been very positive, also on the score sheet for Spurs today.
Everton and Sheffield United played a 2-2 draw. That game produced a total of 4 goals, and each team went home with 2 goals. So the fans of both sides have to celebrate, but the team that played at home, talking about Burnley, felt it was a day for them. They came behind, but the game ended a 2-2 draw situation. Now, is it too early for us to start predicting who will you think will go home with this season's edition of the English Premier League?
Well, it's as clear as day.
Has made no mistake.
Yes, it's as clear as day. Man City have started the season on fire, and as you would expect it, you know, for a team who came on the back of winning a treble, it seems no team is ready to challenge them at this point in time, and they've won all that is there to be won. In fact, mixing that with games from Europe to after they beat Sevilla on penalties to win, you know, the Super Cup. So City are in fantastic form. I don't see any team taking them, you know, all the while. I don't see any team challenging them. Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, yes, they can only push forward, but I don't see it really happening for them. I think Manchester City, in quality, in terms of organization, in terms of how they impose themselves
on paper,
yes, are heads and shoulders above other teams in the league.
Yes, talking about Manchester United, they'll be up against a team followed by many. Talking about Arsenal, will be up against them. Of course, Liverpool will take on Aston Villa. It will be another good day for Brighton to be up against Crystal Palace. And we'll be bringing to you all the bits of this game when we come back on the program, Talk Sport, right here on this wonderful station in Nigeria's capital city of Abuja. Perhaps on Monday, we'll be giving you all the situation. But let's look at some of the league. What do you think is making the English Premier League more creative than perhaps the Spanish La Liga? Would you say what seems to be more different there?
Yeah, the difference between the Premier League and the La Liga is just the noise. And when I talk about noise, I'm talking about positive noise. It's about, you know, the branding. It's about the television rights. You know, it's so much money in the Premier League when it comes to television rights that even a team that finished 20th still have a lot of money to take home. So that's what the Premier League, you know, are all about. And it's not today. They've been there, you know, with Saudi now challenging. You know, I don't think the Premier League will be shaken at this point in time. Saudi can do all they can do and others, but the Premier League wouldn't be shaken because they've had this in place over the years, and there's a solid foundation. They will continue to be the tops, though they might not be the tops technically, but they'll continue to be heads and shoulders above all. I think the Italian Serie A too are doing well. Last season we had, you know, the teams in Italian Serie A in the latter stages of European competition, in the Champions League, Europa League and the Conference League. All the teams in the Italian Serie A reached the finals of those competitions. So it shows that, okay, they are getting back to where they used to be. The Spanish League, I don't really see competition there anymore. You can see how the league is this time around.
And one is wondering what is happening to teams like Barcelona and, of course,
the Real Madrid of this world.
We do hope that this team will bounce back. But let's look at the table. There is no doubt that Manchester City is doing everything possible. Currently, they top the league with a total of 12 points. Closely second to them is Tottenham with 10 points alongside West Ham. And of course, Liverpool is 7 points, occupying the 5th place on the table. So I think it's still early for us to predict, but
Yes.
My brothers in the northern part of the country, they will say that a Good Friday can be seen or can be heard on a Wednesday. So let's hope that it's a good moment for the best. Away from that, let's come back home here. There's, of course, look at the National Youth Games. On the 7th of this month, Nigerian youths will assemble at Asaba, where it's the venue for the Youth Games. Looking at players that are being groomed to represent us in the All Africa Games, what do you think would be the specific outcome of scouts that will be at Asaba for the National Youth Games?
Well, the National Youth Games, you know, is something that brings together the youth, scouts, other stakeholders in the, you know, the sporting world to come together, cast an eye, a studious eye on the talents on show. So it is a chance for the young ones to put in their best, because people will be out there looking at them, and you do not get a second impression these days, do you? So at first sight, someone might just see you, like you, and pick you. Scouts who went to watch Zinedine Zidane for Man United back then didn't like how he played on the day, and that was how Man U didn't sign him. Well, that's different from what we are talking about. So it's a good one. It's staged at one of the grounds, you know, where sports is on the high, where they value sports in that state. So we are looking forward to a successful outing in the youth games, and we're looking forward to, you know, scouting doing their best. It's not easy to nurture talents, you know, assemble them, nurture them, and groom them to this stage. So we expect the very best from this particular sporting event, and we also hope that the country can get the mileage it deserves from it.
A total of 16 teams will be decided. The Federal Capital Territory will be participating in 11 out of that. The last time Team FCT came 7th on the log, and of course the Director of Sport, talking about Mr. Lucas, has said the team will do everything possible, and of course it will be a moment for them to say a big welcome to the new Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. So we hope that Team FCT that have commenced campaign at the Old Parade Ground near Abuja will do all they can to ensure that Abuja is not left out on the medal table, David.
Yes, that's important. That's another important thing I missed out, the medal table. At the end of the day, that's the bragging rights. How many gold medals, how many silver medals, how many bronze medals? Well, it's always good to finish on the podium so you can hang the medals. So for these athletes who will be performing, is a chance for them to showcase what they're capable of doing. You might be practicing for over 4 years for a particular competition, or 2 years, 3 years, as the case may be. But on that stage, you don't need to make any mistake, because any error there completely, you know, eliminates whatever you've been doing for the last or previous years to get ready for that sporting event. So it's a chance for them to win medals, it's a chance for bragging rights, and I hope that the various states who are sending athletes will prepare them. That's what they call adopt an athlete, and I continue to, you know, we clamor for the state governors, the top people in the state, private individuals, business owners, to adopt an athlete, to take this adopt an athlete program, you know, seriously. Taking an athlete, you know, take care of the person and see the person blossom, see them grow into, you know, what you can be proud of and represent the nation later, be it in the Olympic Games, the All Africa Games, or what do you call it, IAAF, as the case may be. So it's an important period, it's an important period for these athletes, and we're looking forward to this sporting event here in Nigeria.
Looking forward to this sporting events. Let's tell you that Global TV is doing everything possible to ensure that we have a correspondent that will be giving us bits and seconds of development when the Super Eagles of Nigeria line up against Sao Tome and Principe. And of course, still talking about sport, let's come back here in the nation's capital, Abuja. The Abuja National Stadium is currently playing host to the All-Stars Football Club, which is exclusively for those that have seen and participated in football. They are under the leadership of the PA, talking about Mr. Nasiru, the PA to the president of the Nigerian Esport Federation, where the likes of big players within the territory have come together in what they call All-Stars. David, you want to see some of those former legends still bouncing back into action?
Yes, of course, it's a nice feeling to have them, bounce back on the field of play, be it on a five-a-side, on a full pitch. I think it is important to see them, roll back the years. Should I go on with names, Debu, JJ Okocha, Papilo, Wankword, Finidi George, as the case may be, even if we need to invite those African counterparts, in Ghana, Senegal, Togo, as the case may be, fine, we should have them come around, enjoy themselves. I think in CAF competitions, we also have this set aside by CAF, where legends of the game come together to play, play for charity. Even FIFA do it at the World Cup. It was done at the WAFCON. It was done in AFCON. It was done where legends of the game come together to play. So it's a good feeling to see this one step onto the field of play and roll back the years.
Let's hope that it's a moment for us to have a feel of what it used to be. Let's talk about one man, the one we call the World Cup coach, Coach Samson Siasia. The much talk about August has come and gone. On a telephone chat with Siasia yesterday, Siasia says he still have 12 months to go from his suspension. So we want to see Sia back into action as a coach. That was a great player. We saw him action on the pitch. We saw him action on the pitch, talking about the bench. But for some time now, Siasia has been under the hook by the world body.
Yes, trials and tribulations. That's associated with great men. They all have their moments where they face trials and tribulations. But in the case of Siasia, it is clear now that he's overcoming it. The 12 months remaining, can it just be cut short to 6 months because he's behaved himself throughout the course of his suspension? I think when you have a prison sentence or something like that, how you behave yourself, people can say, okay, you've been remorseful, let's cut it down for you. I would love to see Siasia back into the game because he's one of the best hands we have, be it as a coach for the junior team, as a coach for the senior team, so it's good to see him on that dugout, on that touchline with his shiny head there with his white, just like the Saudi Arabian coach who now coached France to the Women's World Cup, that's Javier Renard. And there's a saying that he has a wardrobe full of white shirts.
Of course, we hope to see back in action the Bayelsa State-born coach. He is presently in Turkey, doing all he can to ensure that when he bounces back for the green, white, green, it will be a moment for celebration. I do hope you have a wonderful celebration ahead of you. That's the size of today's edition of the program at TalkSport right here on Global TV. David, it has been a pleasure having you on air.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here on TalkSport and on Global TV. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, that's how far we can go on today's edition of the program. Join us again on Monday as we come to you with the best of sporting stories across the globe. And I am Clint Agbo saying, have a wonderful weekend ahead of you.